Hey, welcome back again. I'm Dan Fredenberg, and I hate big long rants at the beginning of videos as much as you do, so I'll get right to it. Over here, I want to show you that this one doesn't really count as completely smoking a bot. You can see it's 79.5, but the reason why I'm still turning it into content for you is because this is the first master ranked bot that I have been able to beat. So let's go through the game as quickly as we can. Once again, I'm playing as white. I start off with NF3, try and take control of some space in the center. He ends up coming out right here, which is normally, also this is a NORA bot, so it's a she. Anyway, she comes out here, which is for normal people, that's a bit of a blunder because it's saying, hey, free pawn, and it doesn't cost me anything other than tempi, as they say, which is the plural of tempo, which is, they should just say turn. It costs me a turn because he's probably going to threaten like this, but this NORA bot, this 2200 rated bot, that's really part of their entire strategy. So I played and lost against NORA a bunch of times, but this is what they're really up to. So NORA tends to either bring the queen out here or bring the queen out here. I've seen it once where it went out here, and basically if there are any threats, then I end up bringing this pawn out to support it, but I could bring it back over here. The computer isn't too crazy about this move, but at least it gets this queen out of my side of the board in theory. So then she moves over here, and I threaten it again. Best move. You can see the evaluation bar gives me an advantage already because this is called a wayward queen attack. It's basically where the queen goes for a run. It's usually a bad idea to get your queen out too far too early because you end up leaving all of your pieces over here in the back rank where they can't help you at all. And when there's a threat against your queen, you have to do something about it. There's basically no situation that you can get around that. And so my job when he's doing this sort of thing, she's doing this sort of thing, is I got to develop like a sane person while they're doing crazy stuff. So the bot does the best move, running away with the queen. I move my pawn out here because I want a fianchetto, even though it says that I would be better off moving my e-pawn out. So he starts to take, she starts to take a little bit more space right here. I don't know why I'm getting my pronouns messed up today, even though the engine says that bringing the knight out would be better. I stop it from advancing. I don't want it to keep on this black pawn to keep going that way, so I bring this pawn out, which the computer's not crazy about. Then the bot decides to pin this knight, and what that means is I'm now unable to move. That's a terrible arrow. I'm unable to move this knight because that would reveal the check right here, so that makes it an illegal move. So it's a little bit of an annoying move, but what can you do? I continue with the fianchetto, which the engine says was the best move. Then she ends up bringing this knight out, and I castle my king to safety, also best move. So then the bishop takes the knight, I take back with the pawn, best move. The pawn comes out. That's I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I guess that's, oh yeah, it's probably just to take this spot away from my knight, and because I think the queen wants to have this clear path to that pawn right there. And I say, oh yeah, well, tough beans, because I'm moving my rook over here, which is also best move. So I'm on a bit of a roll so far with a 2.9 advantage, but then it looks like I throw that away a little bit by bringing my queen over here, basically trying to get it a little bit more scope, maybe targeting this pawn right there if I with my queen if I can. And so if I can displace that pawn, maybe I can get that knight there, and the queen over here might turn into checkmate, but we'll see. So he brings this pawn out here, which is good for me, so I got a little bit of lucky on that one. And apparently I was supposed to bring my bishop over here. That one's pretty obvious because the diagonal would be on, it would be called a skewer or a kebab. And so the knight and the rook are all in a row, which basically means you're getting one of them if that's what you really, really want. So then the bot turns and puts the queen over here, and I decide I'm not going to trade queens because I think my queen's better than his queen right now. But then I do that kebab move, which is pretty happy about. He decides to trade queens. I take back with the pawn, and the king apparently does the best move of moving over here for safety. That's probably so that I only get one of the of these two pieces. and he can take back with the king. So I end up taking this pawn, which is basically free, because if he ends up taking back with the knight, I get a rook instead of a knight, and he doubles up, or sorry, he doesn't double up, he supports this knight with his rook. I move this over here, which is actually a fork of these two pieces. I'm happy to take back with the bishop, because then I'd be staring at both of the knights with my bishop, just like that, which is actually kind of funny, because it appears that the robot doesn't like that, or the engine doesn't like that. It says that I should have moved my knight over here, but my opponent ends up moving their knight out here to support this knight over there. And I'm getting really bad with clicking ahead, so sorry about that. But anyway, so this pawn right here, I move that up, even though, because this is covered by the knight. I think I was hoping to put it out one more time just to support my bishop, but my opponent does the best move of moving the knight here. That threatens there. That's not the point. The real point is to move the knight right here, because that would fork both of my rooks, which means I'd wind up losing one of them, and that's bad. So I say, no, 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 I'm not going to let you do that fork, and I take with my bishop. So he takes back with the pawn, and I take up more space, even though it says that I should have moved this knight over here instead to target this pawn. But I like this shape right here, because basically you can't really hit either of these two pawns because of this. Now, of course, the bot brings their bishop out over here to target this pawn, which has no support. But it says you'd be better off moving. The engine says the knight move over here is better, and I'm looking to see what that would be for. You can't move there with the knight. I guess it's just to just take up more. Oh, right, no, it's because of the revealed attack. He wants to trade the rooks right here. So if you move the knight over there, then we'd be able to trade rooks and try and simplify the position. But I move this up here because it was threatened, but it's covered by the knight. Apparently, it would have been better to move my knight over there. And so that would have, so if I did that, it would threaten the bishop, even though the bishop would move and just take that anyway. My follow-up move, according to that, I think it's saying that to go, so it wants the knight to go here. See, yeah, it wants the knight to go here instead of the pawn, and I think it's because it wants me to go here and then fork their two knights. But anyway, after my pawn move, the bot decides to move this pawn ahead and say, hey, do you want a free pawn? And the idea is that removes this defender, or the defender. This pawn defends this pawn over here. And so if I take over here, his knight can get a pawn and reveal the threat to my rook. So I ignore that, and I threaten the knight because knights are worth more. It says I should have just pushed, which makes sense because I think it's getting closer to promotion. The bot ends up moving this pawn down here, which it says was not the best engine move. It says to take back would have been best. I take because this rook will reveal, it's a revealed attack on this rook right here, and that's supported by the other rook. He takes, which is best move. I take back, and that's best move. He takes the pawn, which is best move. I take that pawn, even though it says I should have taken that one. I think it's saying that I shouldn't have done that because this one is just hanging. It has no support, and it was perfectly safe where it was. So anyway, he takes this pawn back, which is a little bit of a problem, but I spotted the fact that the knight can go right here and not only threaten where it is, but also threaten down here. Now, one of the things is very important to pay attention to. I'll remove the arrows so I have fewer arrows going on here, but the bishop is controlling this square right here, so I can't stop this pawn by moving my rook over here. So that was the other reason why I moved this knight over here. Anyway, so the bot does the best move of bringing the pawn down one more square, and then I say I'm going to go check just to basically delay what's sort of inevitable, if you want to call it that. And he takes that opportunity to get out of check to take my pawn, and I move over here because I want to scoop up that rook, and this is already covered by my knight. So he has to get out of the way. I take that. It says it's a great move. and he takes back, and I move this over here. Oh, okay, I think what it's saying is it wants me to move my bishop over here so that when this pawn goes here and I take and the bishop takes, then the bishop would be able to take back, and so as a result I'd be trading one knight for a bishop and a pawn, which is a better deal if you know discounts and all that kind of stuff. It's like buy one get one free. Anyway, so he promotes to a queen. And it's weird because it says that's excellent, but it doesn't say it's best move. I don't think that matters because it's the robot's move anyway. And I take back with the knight. He takes back with the bishop. I move my king over here, which apparently completely destroys my advantage. I should have gone check, apparently. Let's go ahead and see what the engine says is the follow-up for that. So after that, it says this is what would end up going down. So I'd get a pawn. It seems like a pretty negligible difference. So the robot ends up moving his king out of the way, which is a blunder apparently. And I do not catch the fact that if I moved right here, I'd be able to scoop up. Oh, okay, yeah, it's because it forks the bishop and the pawn. So I'm getting one or the other, and possibly both later. But I move my king over here, and he hides over here. She hides over here, and apparently I was supposed to do it again, and this time it's because when the bishop's over here, I have that skewer kebab. Okay, so from here, this would be threatened, and so with that, and it'd be covered twice, once by the pawn, once by the king. But I move up here to try and basically stop any funny business in the corner here, and this is a prime example of endgame play. I think I'm going to do another piece of content on this game to show you that even though you have a winning endgame, and if you know endgame principles, the fact is there are going to be like one or two moves, maybe up to like 4 moves that are all continuing your advantage, but there are other moves where you're going to lose on the spot. And if you've had a lot of frustration in chess, that's probably the reason why. But anyway, so he moves this pawn here, which is a bad idea. He says that the engine says that the bishop should have moved here, so I'm able to take. It says I should have pushed instead, but oh well. But now I'm able to do the kebab and trade down. That's the idea of simplifying, is just give your opponent less ways to mess you up. Just make it, that's why they call it simplify. It makes a lot of sense. So the bot decides it does not want to lose the bishop quite yet. So I probably should have, I should have just taken that pawn. But I think I'm not sure what I was thinking right there, to be brutally honest. But anyway, the bot does a miss by bringing this pawn down instead of moving this one down. I move the king over to try and infiltrate and take these pawns to basically finish off the game. I do best move, moving even closer. I move this way to block the king's ability to come over here, and I'm basically hoping to come over here and grab this bishop and this pawn eventually. So I move over here, best move. He moves closer, I take that, best move. He moves over here, best move. And this was a little bit scary because again, this is the first master rated bot that I've beat on chess.com. You have to have a premium subscription to access all the different bots, and they separate them into beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then master. This is the first one in the master category. But this king is kind of putting my king in jail. But I do the best move of scooping up the pawn, so that's cool. And then she ends up moving her bishop to threaten this pawn, but I say, nah, we're trading. Because this pawn, after it takes back, and that pawn, they'll be able to support each other against this king. And then I also have this other pawn, which has huge aspirations to become a queen. So the bot moves the bishop up here, and now I'm really in jail. I already couldn't go here or here, but now I can't go here either with my king. So I go down, which is apparently the best move. Then apparently the bot should have gone here, but instead goes over here. I move over here, where apparently I should have pushed the pawn. I was thinking basically I'd find a way to get over here, but that's blocked by this bishop move right here. So I threaten the bishop because I really have to get it out of there. even though moving this pawn up is still an option, because 1, 2, 3 squares would all be stopped from the black king to approach. And he has to do something, so he moves his bishop. I did that where apparently this is better. That's a little bit confusing to me, because that allows this spot right here for the king. So whatever, apparently I'm not a computer. So I move my king up here, basically hoping to approach on this, and of course the bot ends up being aware of that, moving the bishop up here so that it'll be able to take if I move it ahead. So I try to advance on this side, getting closer and closer to promotion. Next up, we've got the king approaching to take this pawn. I do the best move, apparently, according to the engine, bringing my king over here. The idea being is that I am protecting the pawns, both of these two pawns, as they approach as soon as this guy takes off. And so I continue. Okay, it says I should have shouldered out this this king, but I continue approaching, saying, hey, you know, like, this is your last. So you can see this is a light squared bishop. So if the light squared bishop is going to take this pawn, it's either going to take it right there or it's going to take it right there, and neither of those options are good. So the bot takes the pawn, and this is when I know that I have got this solidly won, even though the eval bar you can see here only lists it at 8.66, which, like, that's high. That's like a controlling, absolute controlling lead. I mentioned before in some of this content, but you probably missed it. This year I was able to take 2 lessons with a Grand Master, and what he recommends as far as opening theory is you find a common sequence where you get an advantage of 1, and then you should be able to rely on your chess skills from there as you go, just because chess is so random. Every game is going to be slightly different. So the bot decides to come over here and try and take up more space and prevent this pawn from promoting. I do the best move right here of moving my king there, and he does the best move of backing away. I think it's aware that if I move this bishop, you know, basically the jig is up, I'd say. So then now I have my king here, so cutting off all of these 3. So now the king is able to go here or here, and he decides to go here. Okay, it says best move was over there. I push the pawn, knowing that even if he does this move right here, I'd still be able to move my pawn up and maintain control of the progress of this pawn up to promote. And at this point, because this pawn is destined to become a queen, I don't care about this bishop anymore. It's not any help. But the bot knows that you got to do something, and so I move my I move my bishop for check, and so now that means he can't go here, here, or here. So he only has 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4, I'll unclick this. These are the only possible spots the king can move. And instead of taking, which was a rather odd decision, he just moves down here. But it's still already completely lost. So next I move my pawn up here, knowing that he's in the German term is Zugzwang, apparently. And it means that's when you have to move, even though you really, really don't want to. So, but apparently moving my bishop to safety is a better engine move, but at this point it doesn't really matter. It's up to my endgame skills. So he does the best move, taking my bishop. I move over here so that I have these 2 spots in the clear for the promotion. He approaches, I don't care, best move. He moves somewhere, and it's already now mate in 19 for the freaks in the audience who can calculate that far. And then I get my queen, and he moves over here, which reduces it to mate in 9. Let's see how I do. Okay, so it's still mate in 9, so that wasn't the best move. Now it's dropped to mate in 6. So now I'm moving my king. So the trick for a king and queen endgame like this, and I've learned how to do this in a time scramble, is you should basically get really aggressive with your king. You end up rushing the other king with your king, and then eventually you'll bring the queen to a position to complete the mate. Now, if you're using the engine's advice, it'll be slightly different, but apparently that was the best move. He's still moving down further. Okay, so now this is a neat trick right here, because you can see I've got mate and 2. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because when you've got opposition on the last 3 files like this, just the king being there means that these 3 squares are inaccessible to retreat by this king. So he can only go left or right. So if the queen ends up right here, that's mate. But of course, it's not mate yet. But so now we've got mate and 2 though. So the king moves over here. I move over here. He moves back. I move right here so that he now can never. This entire line is off limits. Queens are really cool in an endgame because it's the only piece where a king can't approach it in any way at all. Okay, because it can go in every direction. What's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All 7 of these squares. I guess I'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 squares surrounding a queen. The opponent's king's not allowed to come towards any of them. So anyway, he moves over here. I move over, and so basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it so that my queen winds up here or here. Okay, so like directly below, because my king is able to support the queen in any of these spots. So if the king is in basically either if it's here, here, or here, and your queen can get to any of these 3 squares, it's game over. So I hit the wrong button. So he moves further that way, I get closer, and so now you can see it's mate and 1 because it doesn't matter if he moves here or if he moves over here. If he moves over there, queen goes here for mate. He does move over here, and this is checkmate, and then that is victory for me on my very first masterbot on chess.com. So that's been quite a bit in the making. As far as my chess history goes, I did learn as a kid. I didn't get a chance to play too many people as a kid, but as I did end up using some different engines for a little while, but basically none of my chess education was worth a damn, quite frankly, until it was January of not last year, not the year before. Maybe it was the year before. Anyways, it's basically like we're coming up on 3 years ago. I had 1 year of studying just puzzles, I did like 7,000 puzzles in 1 year, and I played against these bots. But it was January of 2024 when I finally started playing online. So that's why I call competitive chess, even though it's competitive from a low level. And I thought that beating a 2,000 rated bot, I wasn't sure if I'd ever be able to pull it off, and so that's why it's a big deal to me, even if it's not a big deal to other people. But hopefully that's instructive. Now, if you really like episodes like this, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button down there. The fact is, if people hit the subscribe button, it costs you nothing, but it means that those deadbeats at YouTube might actually start paying for these videos. But as far as paying for these videos go, I am looking for more sponsors. Right now, this video is sponsored by Cardinal Financial Services and Consulting, and that is to help with alternative investments. If you're making a hedge fund, if you're making a real estate fund, if you're doing a VC fund, if you're doing a private equity fund, then if you're going to want to have the right structures, you're probably going to need a fractional CFO at some point, and so you can talk to Ryan Yates about that, and there's going to be a quick ad immediately after this for that. But that's all I've got for you for today. Thanks again once again for watching. This has been really awesome. I really appreciate you guys spending the time. Bye.
My background has been in alternative investments for the past 20 years. I've seen just about every type of fund, worked on the accounting and operations side, and even at some of these big banks that I worked for, worked on a lot of projects behind the scenes to really hone my craft and, create Cardinal Financial Consulting and help people set up the right structures, handle the accounting and operations behind the scenes, and really take that away from the CEO's responsibility to make their lives streamlined. Sorry.
Oh, hey there. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you are into chess, if you play chess and you're an investor of some sort, real estate or otherwise, well, you can be on the show too. I know, right? All you have to do is connect with me on LinkedIn. My name's Dan Friedenberg, so I'm super duper easy to find on LinkedIn where I spend most of my social media time. But if you're one of those people who just don't play chess, it's don't pay attention to him. I don't judge. All you have to do is go to dandoesdeals.com and you'll find the Chance Encounter series where you're welcome to be a guest on it, where you can share your core competencies that you're likely to contribute to a GP team or a JV. You don't have to be doing syndications. And we'll talk about your buy box and stuff like that. It's easy peasy. It's like 15 minutes long to record, and there are no real fastball questions. Just tell the truth, and everybody will be fine. And if that's not really your thing, dandoesdeals.com. It also has the way to meet more, join more people, add more people to your investor list, your different deal sponsor operators and KPs and passive investors, all that kind of stuff. I'm probably repeating myself, but I'll give you the rest of your day. I appreciate you watching Chess with Investors. See you next time. Bye.